I think the most important thing that he's done is stack good days on top of good days. He's kind of made incremental improvement every day that he's stepped on the field. And when you start with having some success early, you try to build on that success and keep it moving, keep building, keep climbing that ladder of things you have to master before you can go play football in a live game. And he's every single day done that. He's put a ton of work in as far as how he studies, how he prepares, and it shows when he goes out there to practice. And it's not without, there's plenty of things that he has to learn from still and still learns every day when he goes out there. But as far as him competing, preparing the way that you want a quarterback in the NFL to do that has been outstanding.
Brian, who's impressed you in the receiver room the last couple of days?
Really, all of them have to some degree. It's a really good room. Troy Walters and Bob Bicknell do a great job getting those guys ready from top to bottom. Those guys are prepared to go practice. They execute when they've been asked to. And when those guys' numbers have been called, they've answered. And so Auden Tate obviously has been picked up where he left off last year in terms of his execution and playmaking ability and his skills that he brings to our offense. T. Higgins has started to come on. He had a little minor setback with the hamstring, and he's healthy and ready to roll. And every day he goes out there now for the past few days, he's looked better and better. Alex Erickson continues to be reliable, dependable. He's consistent. Every time his number gets called, he does the right thing and does it well. So there's a lot of competition there. Even DeMarcus Lodge got in there and caught a touchdown post. He was in there to really run off at that particular route, and Joe took a shot at it, and he took advantage of that opportunity. So I think right now what's most important is these guys are all taking advantage of every opportunity they get, and it's a deep and competitive room, and that's what we want.
Brian, what did you know of Auden before you came here, and how much did he open maybe your eyes last year? And you just kind of mentioned it. What's he done better between last year and through this camp?
When I first got here, Bob Bicknell had kind of brought him up, and as he had been on the practice squad, and he said, "Hey, this kid's got really great hands, great body control. Just take a look." And he built me a cut up of a bunch of the things he had done in practice over the course of the year, just so I had a familiarity of who he was prior to just getting to know who everybody in the roster was at that point. And I saw a lot of things I liked about him. Mainly he was 6'5" and he's 225 pounds, and he's got great strong hands and makes a ton of contested catches, even in those practice clips that he had showed me from the season before. So I was very optimistic about his ability, and he got a chance to, with the injuries that we had last year, got a chance to play a whole lot more and prove that he has a role and has a lot of value in our receiver room.
What's your view of the coach? What's your view of the offensive line? And what was your view of the tape yesterday after Turner kind of went nuts and used everybody everywhere?
It felt like a regular season is what it felt like. That's kind of how these rotations work. And very rarely do you get all 5 guys healthy for 16 games. And you got to have guys that can swing and have versatility. And training camp is part of the time to do that. Guys move around. We've had some injuries up front. We don't have a ton of depth because the roster's at 80 people. And, you lose 1 or 2 guys, and all of a sudden everything changes. So you got to move people around to get through practice. And those guys did a great job. I mean, we moved Akeem into guard. He hasn't taken any guard reps. Fred's played guard for the first time here recently this season. We've moved – Xavier was out there playing tackle at one point. Mike Jordan played tackle the other day. So it's not anything out of the ordinary, to be honest with you. It's part of training camp. And you're always cross-training guys and seeing where they can fit and where their value is. To have guys that can play 2 spots is always helpful when you're trying to build your roster. You only get 8 of them on your active, so 7 of them on game day.
Did anybody stand out? Did anybody's versatility stand out to you that maybe you didn't know about?
Yeah, we knew Fred could play both. He had done both before in his past. He was a guard at Florida. He was a guard in Pittsburgh for his time there. But he's got some tackle. He played enough tackle in college to feel like he could be a good tackle. He's got the size and measurables that you look for. But he can play both. He can play both pretty good. Billy's flexibility, being able to play guard and center is huge because you got to have a guy that can snap as a backup center as well, and you got to have guys that can play all 3 interior spots when you only get 7 of them up on game day. And Akeem Adeniji has got flexibility too. He looked good as a guard. His movement skills are really good. He's still a young player, learning and growing every day. But there's some guys that, they got to learn how to play a couple spots. It's just the way it is in the NFL.
Brian,
What have you seen from Billy? What have you seen from Billy this training camp?
Billy came back a little bit heavier, a little bit stronger, stouter, and he's had a good camp for himself. He's played a lot of guard. He's played a little more center the last couple of days when Niffel's been out. And he's done a good job. He seems more comfortable. He seems more relaxed in the scheme, knows what to do. I feel a lot better about his execution in this camp than I did a year ago. And he's had a nice camp for himself. I'm pleased with where he's at.
And then Ross appeared to get dinged up yesterday. What happened, and is he okay?
He got tangled up on the way down to the ground, and it took him a couple plays to shake it off, and he came back and finished practice. So I don't anticipate really any problems with him. He looked fine after that.
Was it the elbow?
I don't know. I think it was somewhere on his arm. It got tangled up on the way down, and he just kind of shaking it around. I couldn't tell what exactly it was at the time, but he seems fine now.
Brian, y'all talked about having the QBs all be in separate rooms. I mean, is that still going on? Are they still doing virtual meetings separately?
Yeah, I mean, our protocols are in place, and as normal as it's kind of become for us in terms of our routines as we come in and out of the building and going to get our tests and meeting separately and meeting on Zoom. And the protocols in place are really good, and the ones of the quarterbacks are still ongoing. We still meet separately and use Zoom to do that. It's become pretty commonplace. We all feel really comfortable on it. We can get all of our work done in that manner that we need to. And I don't see that protocol going away anytime soon.
What was that like adjusting? What was that like?
Is it important for AJ Green to get reps, or is all you care about that he is in the lineup for the opening game against the Chargers?
I think he's going to want his reps too, I think. I would like him to have more reps. I certainly know what he's capable of. He showed it when he came back this year. I've obviously seen years of him playing in this league, and I'm not too worried about what AJ can bring to the table. We all know what he can do and how much of a difference maker he is at the position. But I do think it is important to get some reps. He really hasn't played a lot in this system. He's been around, he's heard it, he knows it, but he has to go out and do it. And to get those reps with Joe are valuable. I don't think they need a ton of time together to figure it out, but I think there's some value in being able to practice and get reps and feel comfortable and ready to go come game day. Because most guys that I've ever been around, they still need those reps to feel like they're ready to go. And when it's time to go for real, I think it's important that they've had something under their belt where they feel confident in their ability to go execute mentally and physically.
Going back to that virtual QB room for a second, when y'all got into the building, how long did that take for it to start to feel comfortable and for that to feel like it was a normal part of the routine?
Pretty quickly, because really, I mean, you think about all the time we had in the spring, and so it was pretty normal to just kind of see everybody's faces up on the screen like this. So I don't think it took too long to get used to. I do miss a little bit of the camaraderie of being all in a room together. That's fun. That's part of what makes the quarterback room unique, is those guys together and being able, but to share some experiences and just kind of be in the room. I think there's value in that, being in person. But overall, it's been pretty seamless, and we get our work done, and we can still have a good time together over Zoom. I think as everybody in the world's figured out, it's not too hard to convey your feelings and tell stories and have a good time and laugh over Zoom. It's just the same as you are in a room. So.
Are you quarantining? Are you quarantining one of them? I mean, is Allen technically quarantined? I mean, he's out there with everybody. I mean, so. Yeah,
no, I mean, I think they're all quarantined, I think, in their own right, because they're never really together in any sort of prolonged setting in a room. Outside, they're still around each other. We're letting Ryan and Jake. It's hard to get 4 quarterbacks reps. One of the good things about Brandon is he's got some experience playing in the NFL, and he's a smart player. Has played in some games, and so Jake and Ryan are getting the bulkhead of the backup reps at this point. Ryan getting most of them. Jake's had an opportunity to get some, and Brandon's in that 4th role as a reserve player and learning how we do things here. And we'll see how it goes if he gets some more reps as we move forward.
Now I know you got a lot of new players, draft, free agency, but having the second training camp, the first training camp. You're trying to see what guys can and can't do. They're trying to figure out what you guys have expectation-wise. How different is this training camp from last training camp in terms of knowing your team?
It's night and day difference. We feel so much more comfortable, I think, with each other as a staff. We feel as coaches so much more comfortable with the players that we have, where they fit, how they fit, what their skills bring positively to the offense, and where we can use all the things that they possess to help us go win football games and score points. And so I'd say a huge difference from this year to last year in that regard. So it's refreshing in a sense too. You don't feel the same. It's everything feels like it goes a lot smoother. The expectations are a lot clearer. All that stuff has been really, really good to start our second year.
You put an emphasis on running the football now that you got the pads on during training camp. Would you like to see Joe Mixon get some more reps? He's missed the last few days of practice.
I would, yeah. I mean, I think Joe's a little bit in the same boat as AJ is, in the sense that, you know, we all know what Joe's capable of, and all the things that, you know, the scheme-wise run game, you know, he's been doing well at a high level, and there's not a lot of things that are new for him as far as carrying the ball. But, you know, reps are good, and being able to get behind those guys up front again and get some reps is important, I think, as the season gets closer for sure. But I don't know that he needs to come out there and carry the ball, you know, 30 times in a practice for us to evaluate him. Really, I think the most important thing right now is we're getting a really good look at those guys fighting for spots on our roster with Samaje, Jagas Patrick, and Travion Williams. So those guys are going to get a ton of carries because we're trying to give them opportunities with no preseason to go ahead and separate themselves. So while I do think Joe needs reps, all the players need the reps to get ready for the game. Right now, you know, the guys that are competing need reps too to separate. And I think Joe come September will be ready to rock and roll as far as that goes. I don't think this is going to be a make or break for him as far
Do
as.
you feel like his contract situation's affected his preparation at all?
Hard for me to say. Everything that he's been around when he's in the building has been great. I've had no problems. He's been on top of it. He's been in practice. The system's not new to him, so he understands what to do and how to do it. And, you know, his contract business is his business, and guys handle those things a lot of different ways. And, you know, really it doesn't have much effect on me. I don't negotiate those deals, nor do I have much input to how and when they get done. So I coach football and he plays, and that's kind of how our relationship is. And as far as what he's been when he's been here, it's been fine. There's been no problems.
Do you anticipate him practicing today?
I don't know. He's been out a couple days here, so we'll see when practice rolls around. I'm not sure.
Are you as excited about the tight end position that Zach seemed to be the other day? He was effusive in his praise of the tight end position, the coaching that's being done, all of it.
Yeah, I share the same sentiments. I think James Casey is one of the best young tight ends coaches in football. He's got a great room with the guys, the type of guys that we want. And between CJ and Sample and Seathan, and really from top to bottom, that room's done a great job with Mason Schreck and Franks and Wilcox, our young free agent. They practice hard. They know what to do. They know how to do it. And those two, CJ and Drew especially, have been really exciting to have come on the way they have. They've done a great job in the run game. Every time their number gets called in the pass game, you know, they've made plays. Drew has come back. He looks really a lot different than he did a year ago. His confidence and how he runs routes, the manner in which he knows how to use his size, and he's got some suddenness that's starting to show up on him because he's running with more confidence. And, you know, he's always been good in the run game. He's gotten better. He's tougher. He's physical. And CJ follows the same. Those guys have kind of stepped up as, you know, kind of big leaders of our offense. And I'm really excited about what the future can hold for them this season.
Do you think Joe Burrow's accuracy will lead to more yards after catch?
Hard to say definitively. You know, it's hard to make that prediction. But generally speaking, guys that are accurate keep the guys catching the ball. They keep their athleticism on the ground. You know, when guys don't have to break stride to catch a ball, don't have to leave their feet to catch a ball, and their athleticism stays with them, that allows them to run through their targets, catch the ball, and finish runs. And so, I think anytime the quarterback is really accurate, it's going to help those guys be in position to make more runs after catches. because they don't have to do things that would take their athleticism away from them. They can run through balls and stay at full speed and be able to turn the corner on people and get north and south when they got split zone defenders. And I think that's a big part of run after catch.
Are you guys taking a look at just looking at the use of 11 and 12? Because you're the guy that has to make this puzzle fit. How do you get 3 good receivers and 2 good tight ends on the field? So I don't know if you guys are looking at kind of looking at usage and all that.
Yeah, I think that's what they call first world problems, Javi. I like having those issues. The more guys that we have that can play good football, the happier I am. We'll find ways to get them the ball. As far as the breakdown of what our personnel will be, it's always going to be on a game-by-game basis. Through the end of the last year, we used plenty of 12. We used some 13. Those are some things that we've continued to explore over the course of the offseason. And, there's no limit as to how much or how little we can do. If we're in 11 personnel and we're rolling up and down the field, then we'll be in 11 personnel. If we need to change it up and mix up some 12 and 13, then we'll do that too. Those guys give us a lot of flexibility to do that stuff, which is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the more good players, I guess it's the bigger the challenge to use everybody, I guess.
It's a good challenge to have. I like that challenge.
Let's keep it to just a couple more for Coach, and we'll let him go.
Is anybody
No, go ahead, Paul.
How important is pre-snap motion for you guys, and with a rookie quarterback and not as much on-field time? How challenging is that to try to make sure you have enough of that you guys need in there for the window dressing in games? We use
a lot of it. It's a big part of our offense, and we used quite enough last year. We probably could have used more, but it's a really big advantage to help a quarterback figure out what's happening to the defense. There's a lot of ins and outs to how and why and where you use it, but ultimately it's an advantage to be able to help the quarterback decipher what's happening in front of them, keep the defense off balance, whether it's pre-snap motion or motion on the snap or the fly motions and jet motions. There's a lot of ways to deploy those elements, and we have not had any problem as far as that stuff being too difficult for anybody to handle. We still do quite a bit of it, and we will continue to do so moving forward to make to be as multiple as we can be on offense to make it hard on the defense.
I'd imagine probably, just the more on-field time, that might be something that's maybe more of a gradual install than it would be in a normal offseason where all spring you guys are out there and your timing is super sharp on doing that stuff repetitively.
Would it help us to have 10 more OTAs prior to this? Yeah, it would be good. But we're kind of in a crash course and on a race to the opener, just like everybody else is. And these are all problems that everybody's trying to deal with. And I love the way our guys have attacked it. Their urgency has stepped up. When Zach got in front of the team the other day and reminded them that there's really less than 2 weeks of training camp left before a game week starts, and we're actually in an in-season mode. So the urgency definitely is picked up. I think these guys understand that the normal rhythm of training camp is now different, and we're getting ready to ramp up and play a game really soon. And so I think that helps keep the urgency of getting all these things down at the manner they need to get them down by the opener.